I'm Mitch Gallagher. Welcome to the Sweetwater Minute. We're with Jeff Manchester from iZotope. We're checking out RX7. Now, as you know, I'm a big RX fan. I used it on my EP. I was telling you how I used it to take some bleed out of some tracks and to de-reverb things and do some really incredible processing you can do with this software. But for those who aren't familiar with what RX is, tell us what RX is.
So, yeah, first, thanks for the kind words.
Sure.
Coming from you, it always means a lot.
Thank you.
So it's sort of like a photo editor for your audio. So most people are used to seeing a waveform. If we just go to the screen here, people see and know audio like this, but we can flip it into a spectrogram view. And without getting into too many details, this just gives you much more information to work with. You can see things that, like you said, are maybe bleeding, a dog barking, something interrupting your audio, and you can just paint it away. So it's a whole new way of thinking about audio and tackling audio problems that were once untackleable.
Right. And of course it goes far beyond that. It does noise removal and, like I said, reverb removal. And with version 7, you guys have put some really incredible stuff in here. I mean, I don't know how you keep coming up with new things that you can do to, that you never thought you even needed to do to your audio, but now I definitely need to do them to my audio.
Yeah. Well, it becomes harder and harder to convince people to, hey, upgrade. So we have to make sure that every version is just incredible. And with this version, I'm going to show you some really amazing, well, some stuff that I think is really amazing.
I'm ready. Let's check it out.
All right, let's do it. All right, so most people think of RX as a post-production tool, and for good reason. We've won a lot of awards for it. It's used post houses the world over, but we've really made a push to introduce RX to music. Producers, mixers, editors, engineers, arrangers, re-recording mixers. So to that end, we've added some really cool technology and modules in RX7 that are only in RX7, and I want to show you one of them. It's called Music Rebalance. And with it, you can shift, isolate, move around different elements of a stereo, mono, or even multi-track file. So if you want to change the loudness of a vocal, or bass, or drums, or what have you, or you want to suck all the vocals out of something and create an instrumental, you can now do that with Music Rebalance. In fact, I'm going to show you that very workflow right now. So I have a file here that is a pretty busy stereo mix, and I'll just play it for you so you can get acquainted with it.
Caught up in my head, running through the threads. I keep on wondering if I should have tried to fight. Would that have kept us both aligned?
So as you can hear, there's a lot going on in that stereo mix. We have pianos, we have pads, we have a pretty loud kick drum. It's busy. So what I want to do is take the vocal out. And with Music Rebalance, I can do that without affecting, like I was saying, the pads and pianos and all the rest of it. So all I have to do is go to the module here. You see voice, bass, percussion, and other. We go down to voice, just bring it all the way down. And I'll use one of the separation algorithms here called advanced joint channel. It's just going to give you a better result, especially if you're dealing with stereo information. So just make it nice and simple. Brought down voice, went with advanced joint channel. Now I can preview this if I want to, but we get a better result if we render, so I'm just going to do that. Won't take too much time. So we can already see in the spectrogram that we've lost a little bit of visual information. Mostly harmonics, I know because I look at RX all the time, but the squiggly lines going like this are gone, and here they were before, and here they are after. Let's do some before and afters.
Caught up. I keep on to fight with both aligned.
So you can hear that the vocal is still a little bit faintly there in the background, but chances are most people aren't going to be listening to this kind of, instrumental mix on repeat for 3 years. Chances are they're going to put their own vocal over top of it, and from there I think it'll be completely removed. So we can do the opposite if we want. We can just extract the vocals from the mix, and I have a selection over here where that's already kind of done, but I want to just get you acquainted with the track. It sounds like this.
I could try to let you in, just for one night, I could.
So let's just remove everything but the vocals.
Just for one night, I could make you believe that there's more than just you and me, that you'll find her waiting. Just for tonight, I could pretend that I.
Now you'll notice that as we flip before and after, there's still, you hear stuff. There's still artifacting stuff happening. But again, chances are people aren't going to be listening to an a cappella on repeat for 3 years. They're going to bring it into a whole new environment like a remix. And then those artifacts and the stuff that you're still hearing in the background are far less noticeable. So, for example, I have a little remix here that I'm working on. It's in progress, but this is that same isolated track in a whole new environment.
Just for one night, I could make you believe that there's more than just you and me. That you'll find her wings. Just for tonight.
So you can see that when we take the extracted vocal, put it into a new situation, we can make sure with a little bit of post-production and stuff that it fits seamlessly with everything else around it. Now, let's say you are doing something that's less a remix or an instrumental track. Let's say that all you have to work from is a stereo mix. There are no multi-tracks, just like the last two, but something isn't quite loud enough. So in this example, we have a live recorded song. This was live off the floor. And the vocalist is just a little bit too faint in the mix. So we're going to use Music Rebalance to change that. But first, let's get acquainted with the sample. Sounds like this. So we hear everything else, but again, the vocal is there, but it's not really popping. So same workflow as before. Let's go and find Music Rebalance. There it is. And I'm going to bring the vocal slider up, and I'll be quite generous here, maybe +6 or 7 or so. And let's do a preview instead of a render. So we'll go back and forth as we preview these changes on this track. So we should get a nice loud vocal, but nothing else should come up. We shouldn't get the guitars coming up and the drums coming up. That's how clean the source separation is in Music Rebalance. We could bring it up even more if we want, just for fun. Let's max it out to 20 here. So this is important. It's important to push things to the max so that you know when to pull things back. In this case, I heard other things coming up. I didn't get a natural boost of the vocal. So it's always a good idea in RX and in anything that we make to push things too far to know to roll them back a little bit. So I'm just going to bring it back to around, I think, 6 or so, and that's good enough for me. Let's go to another example where we have a track that maybe needs to be remastered and we don't have access to the stems. And same situation, the vocals are a little bit too quiet, and if anything, the drums are a little bit too loud. But our job as a remastering engineer is to make this track ready for today's market. And maybe it was done 30, 40 years ago. We can't track down the files anymore. So have a listen to this track here. So I'm just going to cut this bit here, focus on a narrow patch to show off Music Rebalance. Same thing, we just open the module, and you'll notice we have a bunch of presets here. So if you're not really too sure what to do yet, just go to one of the presets and give that a try. But I know what I want to do, and I want to make the vocals louder, but I also want to reduce the sound of the percussion. So Music Rebalance can identify percussion, so I'm confident that if I just bring this down a little bit, I'll get a pretty smooth attenuation of those drums, and they're knocking pretty hard. So we'll go to Advanced Joint Channel. I'll hit render after making those moves in Rebalance. Let's do some before and afters in the mix. So it's not just vocals we can move around, it's also the other elements in the mix. And this is what I think makes Music Rebalance such an invaluable tool. People can go back and rescue mixes that are 30, 40, 50, 60 years old and just reshape them and breathe new life into them. Or go back and rescue a live performance if the band goes, hey, we want to put this on a CD, and you're like, well, the vocals are a little bit too quiet. That's no longer a problem. So like our other products, Ozone, Neutron, Nectar 3, we've introduced assistive technology, and we have the same thing happening here in RX. So we have Repair Assistant at the very top. And this is to help you solve common audio problems, and it works for music and post. So this is not just for music. We have stuff that'll help, clip dialogue or dialogue that has, maybe the HVAC on in the background or something like that, or hum. But we're going to stick to music examples here, and I have one such example where the guitar is clipped, it's distorted. If you zoom in on the waveform, you've got, truncation, distortion, you've got these guys hitting the ceiling, and that's not good for anyone. So I'm going to zoom out here and show you the workflow. Again, Repair Assistant right at the top there. I'm going to go for music. There's always a kind of Q&A when you use the assistive technology. What are we going for? Dialogue, music, something else? I'll go with music. Now when I press Start Analysis, Repair Assistant will be listening for clipping, clicks, pops, hum, noise. Again, things that people suffer with all the time, whether it's in post or music applications. It's going to run through, do a pass, and then it's going to give us different suggestions which we can balance against the original in real time. So we see these boxes here. This one says original. Here's what we had before. And here's one repair scenario, A. So to my ears, I almost don't have to go to B and C because that sounds great. And you'll notice that as I hover over with my mouse, we get a tooltip, and that shows us exactly which modules went into this repair scenario. So it's very transparent. If I press render, it'll render out the file right there. It'll run declip, and mouth declick it used because it might have heard some clicks in there which it perceived as human-based. But either way, if we get a good result, we're happy. Let's listen to that result. And before. One more after. One of the nice things about Repair Assistant, and one of the things I'm most proud of, is the fact that we don't just fix something for you, we show you how we got there. We give you the recipe. By this I mean if you go to Open as Module Chain right there, it'll show you which modules were used, the order in which they were used, and the exact settings that were used to create the solution that you liked. So I press that, and we see that it used declip first, mouth declick second. If I press on these little levers, we get the specific settings in declip and in mouth declick. We think this is going to help people learn about RX and want to use it. For a lot of people, they feel they need like a PhD to use this. It can be a little daunting with the spectrogram, but what we're saying is, come on in, the water's warm, you won't sink, and hopefully this will make people aware of what the modules do and how they can use them in another problem scenario when they have to fix something. So Repair Assistant can solve a number of problems that you probably encounter all the time. So hum in a guitar track or in a bass track or something like that, clicks, pops, even if you're talking into a microphone, you're dehydrated, you might get some mouth clicks and pops, it can solve that too. Noise, clipping, all kinds of things. So we look forward to seeing what people are going to be taking care of with Repair Assistant. Hopefully it empowers you to go in and fix a problem, but also see how a Repair Assistant solve that problem so that you can feel more empowered the next time you use RX. So there's a lot more in RX7 than what I was able to show you today. We have dialogue contour, which can totally change the intonation and performance of dialogue to restructure it. If you don't have the money or budget for ADR, you can save a take and change the intonation and delivery of the actor. We have multi-channel support now, which is a brand new exclusive in RX7, support up to 7.1.2, which is the Dolby Atmos standard, in addition to groundbreaking modules like Music Rebalance, Dialogue De-Reverb, and of course Repair Assistant. So there's a lot in RX7, and hopefully you check it out.
Jeff, thanks so much for coming in and giving us a tour of what's happening with RX7. I mean, you always do such a great demo. Pleasure to have you here. And so excited about everything that's new in RX7.
Well, thank you very much. It's my pleasure entirely. I love coming down, seeing you.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
Take care.
And thank you for joining me for the Sweetwater Minute. I'm Mitch Gallagher.